And now to an ambitious restoration project that's rising from the ashes to reach for the stars. A team of volunteer astronomers is helping rebuild the Great Melbourne Telescope, destroyed by bushfires in 2003. For the past 8 years, ABC cameraman Michael Barnett has been filming the people slowly bringing it back to life.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to have a look at the moon again, enjoy.
People are fundamentally interested in astronomy. Most of them know that they don't know enough.
And at the top here we've got Mars, and then a little bit further down we've got Venus.
Now that is the planet Saturn.
It just revs up your natural curiosity. What are those things up there? What's it all about? Historically, it is very special. It was, for 40 years, the largest fully steerable telescope in the world.
The fact that it was called the Great Melbourne Telescope tells us about the pride of a young colony, of a young city, a city that believes in itself.
It never achieved the worldwide renown that would have come from discovering another planet, but it did a great deal of useful work. It was used to take some of the best photos of the moon that had ever been taken, but this is back in the 1870s.
By 1944, it was not being used at all, and the place shut down. And very luckily, the director of Mount Stromlo purchased the Great Melbourne Telescope, took it up to Canberra, and refitted it, reused it, repurposed it, if you like, as a more modern telescope.
It just came through so fast.
The Mount Stromlo fire was a terrible loss. It was absolutely heartbreaking. It provided an opportunity for some of us interested in the historical side of astronomy to get stuck into a project to get the Great Melbourne Telescope up and running again.
The thing had been absolutely decimated. Strong metal structures and beams had all warped with the heat of this terrible fire. And when you got up really close, you noticed all these silver parts hanging off the telescope itself, and they were the remnants of the aluminium dome that had actually melted. Certainly the taking apart was a very challenging process, there's no doubt about that.
The whole thing was progressively dismantled. The big lozenge-shaped counterweight was taken off. The poor mirror that had been installed in the 1950s had been shattered to 10,000 pieces. Those edges are as sharp as a razor. The 4 key pieces were loaded onto a semi-trailer and trucked to Melbourne, and that was a great day.
I feel very invested in this. I've had the experience of, and the privilege of going to collect it, and then the experience and the privilege of being part of and watching the development of its restoration.
We're missing something through the middle here, aren't we?
That's right, yes.
So once a week we have a team of Astronomical Society volunteers who arrive at this site, and they work alongside museum curators and conservators.
What do you reckon that is there?
Well, I'll show you.
There's a group that are working on the design of elements of the telescope. Everything was lost in the fires, unfortunately. So they're backward engineering this thing. So there's all sorts of CAD drawings and documents being produced. We have another team of Astronomical Society volunteers who are painstakingly taking this thing apart, cleaning it, measuring it, testing it.
Actually, you can put the bearing up this end.
This is the best men's shed in Victoria.
It's measuring every bolt hole and recording that, and measuring and recording every component here. It's not romantic, but by gee, it's important. What we want to do is make sure that we are retaining the historical integrity of this instrument, but we also want to make it relevant and useful.
There are a number of areas that we could use help in. Probably the most important one is money. The existing metal mirror is too valuable to use, so we've got to replace that with a modern mirror. That could cost us in the region of $500,000. We have no government support, we've got no corporate support yet, and we hope that as more and more people and companies realise what we're doing, we hope that they will support us. Maintaining a positive attitude and enthusiasm over 8 years is a pretty hard thing to keep up, and sadly, even some of us have died. In 2019, we're coming up to the 150th birthday of the telescope, and we would dearly love to get all of it, or even part of it, installed back in the Great Melbourne Telescope house at Melbourne Observatory.
So by bringing this telescope back to the Botanic Gardens, we're not only going to recreate a bit of history, and a bit that we thought was gone forever, but it's a really great opportunity to bring together, I think, botany, astronomy, meteorology.
And when you look at it, it's this beautiful piece of Victorian engineering and a really major piece of scientific heritage for Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, the world.
It's going to give you some amazing views of the heavens, and we just can't wait to see it up and running.